Hey, in this video, I'm going to tell you guys about my third week in bulk training in Pennsylvania and give you guys a brief review based on my overall experience. My next video, I will tell you guys about my experience with my training engineer. I meant to drop a video on my week 3 experience a couple weeks ago, but something came up, so I'm going to be a little delayed on updates. My apologies to the ones that's been waiting. But without further ado, let's get started. Basically, my third week was much like my second week there. But I started my Monday with going to this big empty truck stop to practice my backing a little because my trainer knew from the jump it was garbage. He had me back down 3 straight parking spaces without going outside the lines. It took me a little while to get it, but I was able to find a little success with the help of the trainer. He had me just keep one hand on top of the steering wheel and just try to make as little adjustments as possible. This is supposed to keep you from oversteering. I don't know what it was that got me to the point where I completely forgot how to back. I don't know if it was just me focusing really hard on the 90-degree back in Green Bay that I forgot how to do a 45 or just different training and instruction, but your boy was tweaking either way. We did lots of driving. I'd say I probably averaged around 70 to 80 miles on the week, and we went through some tough areas where you have to watch curves. We also got more acclimated with using the engine brake going down hills. The engine brake is going to be the plug when it comes to steep downgrades, but you don't want to overdo it because it can cause engine damage. You have to watch your RPMs and make sure it doesn't go over 2,000 when using it. We learned about pump unloads this week. Last week it was air unloads. I have to say I like pump unloads a little bit more just because you don't have to climb the tank as much. It's like 4 times compared to pumps 2. However, with pump unloads, it's more hoses you have to use and the hoses can be a little heavy, but it's not too bad. The process of each procedure just takes getting used to, and you do get to use a cheat sheet when going through all your steps. So no worries if you can read and go off of directions. Don't be like me by moving too fast, being timid as hell, and causing a spill from the fill tank like I did last week. You're gonna feel like an idiot. Take your time and remember that it's training. It's not really chemicals in the tanks, it's water. We got more acclimated with using our workflow apps. Workflows are tasks that are sent to our tablets by Schneider. This is what we will really be using when we're out completing loads. I think I explained this in my last video, how we were simulating pickups and drop-offs. This all went along with unloading training. The workflows tell you everything you need to have for a successful unload, but that aspect of the training is pretty in-depth. Now I have to scare you guys a little with the word test. That's right, I had my qualifying road test on Thursday, and not gonna lie, I was nervous from the jump. I was getting in my own head and letting my trainer get in my head as well. But I buckled down, I did what I needed to do. I coupled good, but what was interesting with my pre-trip was that I actually did a brake test that didn't pass. When I held the brakes for 1 minute, air was leaking out the red air line. I guess I put it on to where I had one of the rubber seals buckled, so I had to fix that. I like to think that that won me points for just being attentive and not just going with the pre-trip flow. My drive went okay, felt like I could have done a little bit better because there were times where I could have been more attentive to the trailer. One time I had it sticking out of my lane going into another before my left turn. But no harm, no foul. Now that I did my drive, it's time for my 45-degree back. Just like in Green Bay, I did much better than what I expected to do. I had 15 minutes and I just had to make sure I didn't hit anything. Sure enough, I did good. My setup was nice to where all I had to do was put a little angle between the tractor and trailer, make that hard left, get the trailer straight with the tractor, and go from there. I had to avoid hitting trailers in front of me, so I had to make sure I was watching my hood mirrors along with the other ones. But yeah, it came out a success, and I felt a little better about myself. After my test, I got more driving time, which was cool, but my dumb ass tweaked once again. I missed an exit going back to the OC, which caused me to go up this hill. Long story short, the truck stopped in the middle of me making the turn because the hill was right at the turn. I had to try to get up there with like 9 miles per hour of momentum. The truck went backwards a little, so I had to stomp the brakes. I tried going up by pressing on the fuel, but all the truck did was vibrate. Turns out the drive tires lost traction, so the trainer had to press one of those buttons on the dash to get us back right. That shit got me down. Went the rest of the way with the awkward silent drive back, and it just stayed in my head the entire time. But again, no harm, no foul. Friday was a very relaxed day. I was able to do all my laundry at the OC. We did some more VR. We had a basketball shooting contest, which I came second in, unfortunately. And we had a graduation ceremony. That's right, your boy passed. I have to admit it wasn't all pretty. Feel like I could have did a little better, but it was all about being safe. There wasn't major points where I had my trainer feeling unsafe in the tractor. Maybe besides the hill thing I mentioned earlier, but it wasn't part of the test. That was the only snag I had throughout this part of training. There were times where I was missing exits too, but it is what it is. Some things I'm going to have to accept that it's going to take time and experience. Which brings me to my next point about how my mind frame was while being here. Overall, it was a battle. I put immense unnecessary pressure on myself. I felt like I had more to prove just off the fact that I got my CDL through the company weeks prior to pulling up. I did not want to hear the whole "you've been training in Green Bay, so you should have a grasp on what's going on by now" line. I can't stand hearing stuff like that from trainers or teachers. It's bogus because I still ended up hearing this stuff anyway. Not only that, I developed performance anxiety I didn't know I had, just like how I explained in the last video with the air unload. With me being nervous and just second-guessing myself with everything. The guy I was training with actually had to calm me down during my test and pep talk me a little because he knew I was stressed and flustered. Lastly, I'm going to speak on the training as a whole. I'm going to be completely honest when I say this. The training is definitely amazing here in Pennsylvania. The CDL training was amazing as well in Wisconsin. The trainers are really genuine and the chemistry they have with each other is cool to see. They explain everything pretty well, and I don't think there was ever really a time where they looked annoyed from excessive questions. Like, they all had unique, likable personalities, and they weren't just these robotic trainers going through the motions of training guys just because it's their job. They actually want to see you succeed, and it's a joy to be around that type of atmosphere. All in all, I would definitely recommend this CDL program, especially for people who don't have experience. If you have the choice, don't even jump in a dry van. Get straight into a tanker so dry van habits don't cross over. You make more money, and you can find yourself staying in shape too, so it's a win-win. Try not to be like me though, with all the stressing and overthinking. Just remember, you're here for a reason. If you couldn't do the stuff you did to pass the test, they would not have moved you along. My advice to you all is to try to stay confident in your abilities, and that's with whatever you're doing. But yeah, I know Schneider pay is dookie water, but with tanker, you have to look at the big picture. That experience is invaluable. After that first year or two with no accidents or whatever, you can go on Indeed and play the field like it's no one's business. You're going to have more options than a professional athlete looking for a date. I went back home to train with my TE. It was local training, so I didn't have to sleep in a small trailer with another dude over the road, thank God. I'm going to update you guys with that in my next video whenever I get the chance. So with that being said, thanks for watching, and I wish you all success in your future endeavors.